prior to the divisional matchup. Meanwhile, an interesting report from you, Adam Schefter, on Shedeur Sanders involving Baltimore. Sanders declined Baltimore's offer to draft him in the 5th round of the 2025 NFL draft because he did not want to be a backup to Lamar Jackson and wanted a team he'd have a better chance to play sooner. Really interesting stuff. Adam, what more can you tell us about what went down?
Well, the Ravens were preparing to take Shedeur Sanders in the 5th round with the 141st overall selection. And then they got word, obviously, that he would prefer not to be in a situation where he's in a quarterback room with Lamar Jackson, who's entrenched as the most valuable player, where he's not going to get the chance to play anytime soon or compete for the starting quarterback job. And so he let it be known that he preferred to pass on that opportunity. The Ravens went in a different direction. And then 3 picks later, Shedeur Sanders goes to the Cleveland Browns, where obviously he has a better chance to get that job at some point in time. We'll see how it plays out over time. He didn't know where he was going to go at pick 141, but in Baltimore was something that at that time did not overly appeal to him.
Interesting. Now, Cam, I would think you're the quarterback. It would be an incredible opportunity to sit behind a guy like Lamar Jackson in the Baltimore Ravens and learn with that head coach.
Yeah.
What's your reaction to this?
I think this is a learning lesson about life because you just never know. And with this particular situation, I don't want to get too aggressive, because when I talk about Shedeur, it's so sensitive because of the passion and desire that I have, not only just for him, but also for his father.
Yeah.
And there are some things that if you could go back and change, obviously hindsight's 2020. But when you're looking at the better situation is definitely Baltimore, where you could potentially learn from a great and see how he manages so many different things outside of football rather than just performing at an elite level. Well, in Cleveland, you got to go through 2 individuals to insert yourself as, the starter. Dylan Gabriel, who's now the second quarterback at hand, and then obviously Joe Flacco. And when you consider those things, it's like, what situation is better?
But he didn't know that he was going to wind up in Cleveland.
No.
He didn't know that. He opted for what was behind curtain number 2 rather than the known curtain in Baltimore.
Yeah.
He opted for the unknown.
Well,
the unknown turned out to be Cleveland.
Stephen A., where are you on this? I'm curious.
2 things could be true. Cam Newton can be absolutely right that Baltimore is the better situation. Yet none of us can look at Shedeur Sanders and find extreme fault with his position. Lamar Jackson, let's not talk about him like he's a quarterback and stop there. He's a superstar. 2-time league MVP. Okay? This dude is considered one of the greatest we've ever seen. And he's 28. He's not going anywhere anytime soon. And when you take a job as a backup quarterback in Baltimore, barring injury, you assume you're going to be holding the clipboard and you're going to be practicing. But you're almost never going to play because that brother's not going anywhere. Nobody's supplanting him. And so if you're Shedeur Sanders and you're looking at it from that standpoint, you're coming out of Colorado, you just completed 70% of your passes. Once upon a time, you were projected to be a top 2 to 3 quarterback taken in the upcoming draft before things nosedived. Your mentality is that you have a chance at playing sooner than later on various teams in the National Football League. But Kansas City wouldn't be one of them. Baltimore wouldn't be one of them. Buffalo wouldn't be one of them. Cincinnati, there's a better chance there because there's always an injury to Joe Burrow, as Adam Schefter pointed out to start the show. That's what you're looking at. And so again, it might not have been wise. I get it because an opportunity is an opportunity. You never know what it can turn into. I understand that. But if you're looking forward to playing in the National Football League at the quarterback spot, you're not going to expect to be playing if you go to Baltimore because Lamar Jackson is there.
Can I say this? And I think if I'm Shedeur, you would ideally want to learn behind a guy like Lamar Jackson for this particular reason and this particular reason only. Not a lot of players can really cope with your star power, with your stardom, right? And let's really give credit where credit is due. At 28 years old, being a phenomenal athlete, the thing that I respect a guy like Lamar Jackson the most, we've never heard him have any off-the-field issues. He's been a stand-up guy, and if all of our opinion has always led to his on-field performance. Not a lot of people can relate to what Shedeur Sanders has been through in his whole life. And that right there serves even more to make him a better player because it's the totality of the position. And I think Lamar Jackson would have been able to relate to him in many ways.
Such a good point.
But how many people are coming out of college thinking about learning instead of playing? And that's the only thing that I'm saying.
No, we have to go to break. But to Cam's point, there's so many intangibles.
Yeah.
What he could have learned from Lamar Jackson, but he didn't know, and obviously he thought it would have hindered him from playing. So I understand both sides of it. We got to go though. Coming up, Dak and Russ balled out yesterday.
Adam Schefter, a lot of noise between these teams, and you've uncovered some fascinating news about another way these teams are connected as of this spring.
Our Greeny was all set. A consensus had been reached. The Baltimore Ravens, were planning to select Shedeur Sanders in the 5th round with the 141st overall selection. But when he found out, he got word back to the Ravens that he preferred not to go to a place where he would be competing and backing up Lamar Jackson. He wanted to be in a place that he could play. And so when the Ravens got that message, they pivoted, went a different direction with the 141st overall selection. And 3 picks later, the Cleveland Browns selected Shedeur Sanders, who will be in Baltimore today, where he could have been spending his NFL career if he were willing to back up Lamar Jackson. Preferred not to do that, and so Shedeur Sanders will make that trip to Baltimore today. Could have been a Raven, but he's a Brown, 3rd string on the depth chart, Randy.
Shefty, I mean, the intrigue of Shedeur Sanders and the story of that weekend at the draft just sort of never ends, and so here we hear this, that he chose not to go to Baltimore. Teddy, reaction?
Yeah, you want to go somewhere where you compete to be a starter. That's me. I mean, I don't play quarterback, but I hear that. Listen, I just want to go to any team where I can compete being behind Lamar Jackson, or I just want to be a starter. Where can I compete to be a starter? I think that's what Shedeur was thinking there.
Does it make sense to you, Randy, for him to say, Lamar's there, he's going to be there for a decade, it's never a place I'm going to get a chance to play? Do you think it's a sensible choice?
Let me piggyback off of Teddy. You talk about Lamar Jackson's going to be probably retired with this organization. So if the backup does get in, he's in for garbage time. So I can see why Shedeur Sanders made that decision. I want to go compete for a job and get out there and play as a rookie.
Yeah. I think this is insane, right? Like, if this is true, I think this is crazy, right? At this point, you're in the 5th round. I understand you had higher hopes, but you've dropped to the 5th round, and you're thinking about being a starting quarterback the next year. I think this is incredibly short-sighted. Like, if you're in this situation, you want to go to an organization that is going to develop you, right? Here you have the Baltimore Ravens, the model of stability in the NFL. This regime's been together for how many decades now? And actually has a track record to develop quarterbacks. Joe Flacco, Lamar, right? Instead, you choose the Cleveland Browns because you think you have a chance to start the next year. And mind you, the Cleveland Browns, who are on the opposite end of the spectrum when it comes to stability, right? This is the same organization that walked away from Baker Mayfield as the #1 pick in the draft. What's he gone on to do? Oh, he's only led the NFL in touchdown passes since joining the Bucs, right? How many there's been 700 starting quarterbacks in the last 20 years for the Cleveland Browns. Like, this makes zero sense. You want to go to a good organization where you can develop and reach your potential.
But Alex, you said a key thing there about they develop quarterbacks. But if you think you don't need to develop, now you're looking for a responsibility. He certainly doesn't think he needs developing. He thought he was going to be the 1st overall pick. So for him, Cleveland made more sense and guess what? I wouldn't be surprised by the end of the year if he doesn't start for the Cleveland Browns. Would anybody?
It does no good to go play
on the field, right?
Not in a bad situation.